Hello, and welcome back to the Fit House Podcast.
The topic today is the difference between exercise and training. And I have a goal for this. Gina said to me the other week after our podcast, she said, "You are so fake." I believe those were your exact words. And I asked her, "What do you mean I'm so fake?" And she said, "You do not share your true thoughts a lot of times because you're so worried about offending anybody. And so you water down what you truly believe in an effort to not offend anyone." And I thought about it, and she's actually right. So I think there's a big difference between...
I think I was a little nicer, and I said, I think you need to be more genuine. I didn't call it.
All right, so the word genuine is the word that she used that resonated with me. So my goal, or just my life from here on out, is I am going to be more genuine. I think there's a continuum, right, between fake and being overly blunt, and somewhere right in the middle is where I want to find myself. So I am going to try that with our podcast today on the differences between exercise and training. So exercise is activity that's done for the sake of the activity. So it's like doing something physical with your body, and you're going to get like a result right then in the now. So some examples that I could think of is basically anything people consider exercise. So
getting that huffy puffy.
Okay, so like
feeling.
Just getting like a huffy puffy feeling, getting out of breath,
Sweating,
just like exerting your
yeah.
body. You could do like a Zumba class would be an example of that. Like a body pump class would be an example of that. Looking up just like a workout program online and doing the workout program, like that would be an example of that. Just going outside, I'm going for a jog. That would be an example of exercise. So now the difference between that and training is when you take a structured, periodized approach to reach a goal, and everything is about the process. So that could also be different activities. It doesn't have to just be weightlifting, but an example would be is I have a goal to increase my muscle, or I have a goal to increase my strength. And so I have put together what's called a macro cycle. So I think it's like a collection of programs. So let's say I have 6 months of programs that are all put together, where each one builds off of the previous one, and they're all working to a climax of a certain goal. And you could do that as well. Really, you could do that with any sport, because that's what professional sports do. So whether your sport is long distance running, whether your sport is sprinting, it's the difference between going outside to the track and running some sprints, or having in this example, a 6-month approach that you're going to keep following to climax in a best performance at the end. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So Gina, have you ever experienced in your life personally the difference between exercise and training?
Yeah, so, I mean, there was many a times when I just used to go to like a commercial gym, hop on the treadmill, because that's all I knew. I didn't even maybe I attempted like the adductor machine or something like that. But other than that, I hopped on the treadmill. I was like dying after like 10 minutes of jogging, and I thought that was going to elicit some sort of result. But I never stuck with that very long. Then later on in my life, I did like boot camp type classes, and that worked for me for a certain amount of time, maybe like 6 months. And I was able to get leaner. I was able to lose weight, but then it stopped. And I will also point out that I was in my early 20s at that point. So when you have age on your side, it's also a lot easier to elicit some type of result.
But that's also one of the differences between exercise and training. Anybody can, depending on your level, right? So I couldn't do this right now. But somebody who's a beginner, or somebody who hasn't done anything physical in a while, anyone could start doing anything, and you could start exercising, and you will start seeing some results until a certain point, like Gina just shared in the story, and then results stop. Mm-hmm. And what you said about earlier, where you never stuck with it, one of the reasons I am so passionate about training versus exercise is when people don't see the results they're looking for, that's usually when they get unmotivated, and that's usually when they stop. It's a very rare individual who can keep doing something even though they're not getting the results that they want out of it, but they're putting forth the effort in and just keep doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I can relate too. That was the story of my teenage years and the story of my 20s. I saw results in the gym to a certain point because of sheer willpower, and I had age on my side. So I used to look up workouts from bodybuilding magazines, or once the internet came online, I would look up workouts from the internet, and you could file those all under exercise. I was taking an unstructured approach. I did see results, mainly because I was young, I had testosterone flowing through my system, and I beat things with sheer willpower. And by sheer willpower, I mean I was training like 7 days a week, 2 times a day on a lot of days. I would just push through. And I never saw the results to the level that I wanted, but I was seeing enough results where I had a career as a professional wrestler, where I won my natural bodybuilding pro card. And all of a sudden, just after years of not seeing what I was looking for and getting really frustrated with that, that's when I got introduced to the world of training. I remember sending away for, and now this is already after I have nationally certified certifications that I don't think are worth the paper that they're written on. Was that genuine? But I would never forget when I sent away through for my first certification from Charles Poliquin. I paid $2,500. I did not have $2,500 to just send in somewhere at the time, but I did it anyways because it was so important to me. And in return, in the mail, I got a binder full of information in the program and DVDs that were PowerPoint lectures. It forever changed my life. I just went, oh, this is why I'm not seeing the long-term results that I want. And this is why my clients are not seeing long-term results that they want, because we're exercising, we're not training. And it was kind of similar. I remember when you and I met, you were exercising, like you just said, and then you saw what I was doing, and you had questions about why you were plateaued with what you were doing, but what got you to make the jump?
I wanted to be around you.
Oh, is that really what it is? I could see that.
I remember the first time I went to the gym with Chris, and I was like, he had me trap bar deadlifting, and I was like, oh, I'm like gonna rock this. I like loaded up the bar, and you probably were looking at me like, what is she doing?
Actually, I do remember you told me that you could squat 185 pounds. I will not forget that.
I don't know if it was that much.
You told me
it was like 135.
Whatever it was, all I know is we put that on the bar, and I watched Gina do like a quarter squat and call it a rep. And I said, okay, we're going to work out. We're going to have to work on this. But think about why that's important for a couple different reasons. One, if Gina is strong enough to do that for a full squat, all the way down to the floor and all the way up, number one, she's going to see better physical results. So she's going to build her legs, her quadriceps, her hamstrings, her abdominals. She's going to have more potential to build muscle and build her conditioning. But also think about it from a functional standpoint. If Gina's strong enough to go ass to the grass on a squat, whether it's 135 pounds on her back or 95 pounds or whatever it is relative to your level, think of what that's saying about her lower back strength. Think about what's saying about the strength of her vastus medialis. That's one of the quadricep muscles that contributes the most to knee stability. So to the example of the quarter squats, I can't tell you how many people I know who exercise. They're doing squats to like halfway the way down. It's not structured. So they're building their body to get stronger in certain ranges of motion, but their body's not getting stronger in different ranges of motion. And then all of a sudden one day they're bent over getting something out of the lazy Susan, and they throw out their back or they throw out their knee. No, but for real. Yeah. And people say like, oh, that's just what happens because you're getting older. That's not just what happens because you're getting older. That's what happens because the structural integrity of your body in some range of motion or some area is not as strong. And that's another difference between exercise and between training. Like with all of our clients, I do things in 6-month blocks. So there's a whole 6 months that's geared towards, over the course of that 6 months, we are literally working on every movement pattern and every range of motion of every different area, what's called a strength curve. So whether something's building strength more on the top, more in the middle, more on the bottom, also working all the different muscles in your body and giving them equal attention. So if something, a small muscle on the front side is being trained, there is an antagonist muscle that's a small muscle on the back side that over time needs to be trained. And so like there's no such thing as a perfect training program, because every time you're doing something, there's all this stuff you're not doing. So then you need to take a break from that program, you go and hit some of the stuff that you're not doing, and then that's how you're able to make progress, is you keep structure and you keep balance in your body. And the funny part is exercise and training kind of look the same. And what I mean by that is, we were having this conversation. This all got brought up because I was having this conversation with a great client of ours the other day. And then Gina and I were chit-chatting about it this morning. I went to the gym to do my workout today. My program today, if you saw it written down on paper, you would say this is the simplest thing, and it looks like a piece of cake, and it looks like it took 15 seconds to put together. I have been obsessing over this. This is my program for the last 2 weeks. I've literally been putting it together piecemeal for the last 2 weeks. It's been driving me nuts because I'm trying to plan out this is the whole start of a beginning for me, and I'm trying to plan out my next 6 months. And every time I think I have it right, I'm thinking of something 3 months down the road that's not going to work. I think every single bike ride or walk or anything we've done for the last 2 weeks, Gina is getting sick of me just incessantly blabbing to her about, you know what, I think this is wrong. I got to fix this. I think this is right. But it's just funny to me. I was thinking about it this morning because that's how much work I've been putting into it for the last 2 weeks. I've been putting it together piecemeal for myself. And when I look at it as a sheet of paper today, it is literally my A series is 3 exercises in a row. My B series is 2 exercises. And that is my workout. Can you relate to that at all?
You're very passionate about what you do.
I mean, I am. I'm passionate about it because I think it's the best thing in the entire world. I can't think of, you know what I was thinking of this morning? Hold your thought. We'll come right back to it. I was thinking about how unpassionate I am about cars. I think cars are stupid. This is just me. I just recently learned what the Mercedes logo looks like. They mean nothing to me. They're a big hunk of metal. Mine gets me from point A to point B. The only reason I have a truck in the first place is I always thought a truck was just cool. And I cannot tell you the amount of times I've been in this situation, especially since being a gym owner, where I need a truck to move something. And it's like endless, either borrowing a truck from somebody or renting a U-Haul. Gina convinced me to get a truck because at the time I was able to trade one lease in and literally take a lateral move to a truck. I think I actually saved a couple bucks a month because the truck's not that important to me. A Mercedes is not important to me. To me, they're kind of silly. And if you want me to be genuine, what's important to me is my body. My health is important to me because I want to have great energy, vitality, functionality in life. My life is important to me. I enjoy being alive, and I want to be alive for a very long period of time. And throughout that period of time, I want to be self-sustained. I want to be functional. I want to be able to take care of myself and take care of my family. Those are super important to me. And I want to look good. I don't care what anybody says. This is me being genuine. When I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror, or I get out of the shower, or I look in the mirror, or I'm putting on some clothes to go out somewhere, if I feel good about the way I look, I am the best version of myself because it's really, really important to me. Sometimes I look at the effort that people put into their cars and I'm just like, who cares? I know somebody who recently, they got a ding in their car and they were to the auto shop the next day and the ding was not completely fixed to their liking and they completely flipped out on the mechanic. And at the same time, I'm thinking this person is not the bastion of physical health and prowess. I'm like, why isn't he flipping out on his doctor that his doctor has him on a medication that he could very easily be off of if he did something to take care of himself in a different way? Why doesn't he yo, fucker, you're giving me okay, is that too much? But I mean, for real, you're giving me a medication that I really, now this is somebody in our personal life, and I know you know who this is, but you're giving me a medication that is having negative side effects on the inside of my body long term. And you're not telling me that I can be doing something to not be on that medication. Like, what are you doing to my body? To me, I would care about that. I don't care about the car. But that's me. And is that too genuine, or is that okay? You could be honest with me. I'm not going to stop recording.
I mean, maybe you could have deleted the fucker part.
Okay, but besides that, was that too genuine?
No.
All right, but I mean, that's just the way I feel. But those are my priorities. We got off track. What were you going to say?
I was going to give you a compliment.
Oh, thank you. I'm all ears.
You know, I don't know if you know, but doctors have to take a certain number of hours of like continuing education per year so that they continue to learn and are able to provide their patients with like the best care. And when you go exercise somewhere, when you are seeking out help to learn what to do in the gym, it's really easy to get a personal training certification. It does not take much work. But one thing that Chris is so passionate about is taking constant continuing education, because he's always learning and he's always trying to better himself so that he can bring our clients like the best of the best.
Thank you very much for that. Gina always tells me I should not write this in my bio on the website. I always, whenever we're updating bio, I always want to write that over the last 10 years, I've spent over $200,000 on continuing education or different certifications or things like that. And part of it is because I am so passionate about it, but the other part of it is because I want to bring that great information to our clientele. Why do you always tell me I shouldn't say that, by the way?
I never said you shouldn't say. I always tell you should.
You always tell me not to.
No.
Okay, whatever. But you always tell me not to write that. They usually say like you hate in other people what you see in yourself, right? Like things that bother you about yourself, you really hate those things about other people. I was an exerciser before. And that is part of the reason I hate it so much, because one, I did it to myself personally and I realized it does not give me the results I want. Two, I did it to all of my beginning clients and I'm really sorry. I thought I knew what I was doing at the time and I thought I was doing a great job. So let's go back to like when I first started training and when I first opened up Fit House. We exercised. I had a nationally accredited certification. I thought I knew what training was. It was all just exercise. And you know what? My clients saw results to a certain point. Again, you can do anything. People saw results to a certain point. And then it turned into people were just showing up. We had fun. Like we were having a blast. I remember like I used to do boot camp classes. Like it was fun. We had a blast, but it was not what I was unaware of it at the time. I always do the best with the knowledge that I have, but it was not giving people long-term results, especially as people got older. I have a lot of clients who have been with me for a long period of time, and I appreciate every single one of them. As I'm getting older, they're getting older, and I had to get smarter because what we're doing needs to be smarter, because otherwise, all of a sudden, the results from the exercise train, those stop immediately. And now we got to take into account not just the trying to get out of breath during a workout, like exercise, but we got to take into account people's bodies are getting older and they need to be smarter about how they train. Because if they're not smarter about how they train and they don't start training versus exercising, bodies are going to fall apart. They're going to tweak lower backs. They're going to hurt knees. It is like there's so many stereotypical stories. One of the most stereotypical stories in the gym, the reason gyms have group classes like body pump classes, or where they get a bunch of girls together in an aerobics room and you have like the odd guy who got lost somehow and he's in there too. Those classes make it easy for people to exercise and just feel like they're doing something. It is the same story with every class. As people get older, they get injured. They can't do exercise class anymore.
One thing I really like that you always say is like there's no such thing as maintenance. Like no matter what, even if you're doing the same thing and you're eating the same way, you're aging. So there's no such thing as just maintaining.
You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And like that's the truth, because every day, and albeit it's at a slow rate, and that's the insidious part of it, but every day we're losing muscle, we're losing strength. That starts at about the age of 25. Sarcopenia and dyneopenia are the scientific names for that. So if you're just doing the bare minimum, you're just like slowing yourself going down backwards, but you're still going backwards. So exercising, everybody I have ever known who does exercise, from the time I've been in a commercial, this is also something I never say, but I'm going to be really genuine. And it's kind of a joke. And it used to be a joke when I worked at two big commercial gyms in the area. It used to be a joke amongst the owner. It used to be a joke amongst me, the personal training manager, although it wasn't a joke to me because I took it the hard way and opened up my own gym. And also, I've talked to every mentor I've ever had about this. No one has ever seen anyone get in shape long term and maintain it at a commercial gym. I have never seen it. I've seen people exercise and lose weight or see some results in the short term. I've never seen it maintain long term. And why did I start talking about that? I lost my train of thought.
Because I started talking about maintenance, because I said I really like when you say there's no such thing as maintaining.
Yeah, now I forgot why I was saying that though. About the getting it. Oh, because you have to be, as we age, like just exercise doesn't work anymore. That doesn't cut it anymore. So as we age, you have to get smarter and you have to start training. And if you're not doing that, you are going to go backwards. If you're doing that, but you're putting forth some smart effort, you'll move forward slowly. Or at the very least, you'll stay the same, but to stay the same because your body's moving you backwards, you got to be putting forward effort to stay the same. If you really want to see progress the older you get, you got to put forth a lot more effort and be a lot smarter with your training. I have to be a lot smarter with my training at age 40 than I could do when I'm 20. I can't exercise anymore. And I remember the summer, okay, you walk, at least for the last 5 years, I'll say, like every summer and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember the one year, I don't know if I suggested this or you asked me, I told Gina, why don't we do instead of you just going outside and exercising and getting fresh air where you're walking, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's exactly what we do this year. But I said, why don't we periodize and structure your walking program and make it into a training walking program? And do you remember what happened that summer?
I got really lean. I got the leanest I've been, for sure. Go ahead.
Oh, I've never seen you that lean. Mm-hmm. Now, albeit it probably wasn't as fun as just going outside and walking. But maybe you enjoyed it.
Okay, maybe I like being outside.
Okay, so Gina enjoyed it. Like for me, my training in the gym is periodized. I train. Everything builds to a certain thing. It's very well thought out. My outdoor activity is not. I would I would see better results if I was like, okay, this is what my bike riding week 1 looks like, bike riding week 2, bike riding week 3. This is what my walking week 1, walking week 2, walking week 3. I don't want to do that. You know why I don't want to do that? Because it's not as important to me, because it's more important to me to just go on a bike ride with my daughter. Amazing. I love it. It is more important to me to hold her hand and go for a walk to the end of our street and back, which she could do now, which is amazing. That's more important to me than me having I need to walk this distance in this amount of time and do that because I will have optimal fat loss by the end of the summer or midsummer. So it's just different priorities will give you different results. But one thing that a client of mine who I love so much, she loves prodding me and giving me a hard time about this. She always says to me, at least it's better than nothing. Like every now and then I'll go off on Zumba or aerobics or things like that. And she'll go, well, at least it's better than nothing. But here is why I disagree with her. And here's why it gets under my skin so much. Because my contention is if somebody is going and lifting up a weight, they're going to the gym, they're going to do something, they're doing it for a purpose. They're not doing it just to move their body. Like walking outside, I understand getting out in the fresh air and it being beautiful and just moving your body. They're not doing that with weights just to move their body. They're doing it because they want a certain result. And if they're not doing what's going to give them that result, that is when people get unmotivated, when they're putting effort in, but what they're putting the effort into is not paying them back the result that they want. And that's why I said earlier, it was kind of a joke at commercial gyms that I worked at, that nobody actually gets in shape at the gym. It wasn't a joke to me. That's why I got fed up and I went and opened up my own studio. It was very, very That was very scary. But I was so passionate about that idea. And I was so passionate that there were people out there who really valued the idea of seeing results. And they're not just like, oh, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just exercising. So that's how Fit House was born. And it's been beautiful. I love our clientele. I really love all of our clients. I love the people I get to see every day. It's the greatest thing in the world. I think I went off on like 40 different tangents during the course of this.
It's okay.
Was there some value in this conversation, do you think? Or is this one of those ones where we're going to press stop, it's going to go up online, and I'm going to say, Gina, what the hell did I just say? I don't know if it was good or it was worth anybody's time.
We're going to wrap it up. There's a big difference between exercise, and there's a big difference between having fun outside and playing with a hula hoop and having a structured training plan.
But can I just add one more thing that drives me nuts?
Sure.
All right. I hate muscle is so hard to build. Like, it is really hard to build muscle. If you are a, like, let's say 18-year-old boy, 18-year-old male, that's probably the easiest it is for somebody to build muscle. But for the rest of us, like, it is hard. And it takes a lot of really, really smart training. But there's like this fallacy that you just go to the gym and like do some curls and do some squats. And okay, I built some muscle, I built some metabolism. When in the reality is all that happened was you exercised. And again, you hate what you see in yourself in others. And that is what I used to do with people. And that is what I used to do to people. And I didn't know any better. And I wish I can rewind it. And I wish, one, I could do things different for myself. Oh my God, if I could go back to when I was like 12, 13 and started working out again, I would love that. So I wish I could do that. And two, I wish I could go back with all of my early clients and do things differently, because I have the knowledge now to do so, but also the knowledge that is when people get unmotivated, it's because what they're doing is not giving them the results that what they're looking for. Does that make sense, Gina?
Yes.
I love you. You're beautiful.
I love you too.
All right. Well, this is Chris and Gina. Do you want to end this?
This is the end of week 3. Come join us for week 4.
I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope I wasn't too genuine.
And Taya just woke up, so it's perfect timing.
All right.